still we should still be able to grow maybe even double digit for the chemicals. And for the petroleum, we are also quite optimistic because as the market open and the commodity price improve, and not only the price, we believe that for us, as long as the demand of commodity has increased because of the renewable energy and so on, the demand for fuel will also increase. So that's the reason why we are quite optimistic that the petroleum business can still grow despite the fluctuation of the price of minerals or coal. But as long as the production increase, then the demand of petroleum also increase. And then the third also, Chipe, with about 1,300 hectares of land we have already acquired, and with the special economic status of our Chipe, and with the deep sea port and also the utilities, including the solar panel electricity that already in production, we believe Chipe will be unique in attracting investment going forward. And we hope that, and we believe that this year we'll have a much bigger land sales compared to last year. And also, lastly, I think very important AKR commitment on the ESG. As you know that we have put a very strong emphasis on ESG since 2013. When we designed GP, we already designed zero runoff of water in 2013, which means that there is no water going into the sea. All rainwater, wastewater we collect, we reprocess, and we sell as a fresh water to the tenant. And since last year in December, we already started generating electricity from solar panel also. So we believe also that our sustainability report started since 2015. And that's why currently, if you see, AKR is in the ESG LQ45 index. We are in the Sri Kehati index. We are also in the ESG analytical index, and also in the top 30 ESG company in the stock exchange of Indonesia. So our effort has been recognized by the government institution that we are also put a strong commitment in ESG. With this, I think I will leave to Suresh and Salman to explain more in detail. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Haryanto. So basically, today's discussion, we will talk about how AKR has delivered sustainable growth despite the pandemic situation, despite the various supply chain and logistics issues that have been faced in the past more than 6 months as more economies recover from the pandemic. And also, there are so many strategic projects that we have been working on over the past more than 5 to 6 years, which is also accelerating the momentum in terms of growth of AKR business going forward. So in this slide, we will talk about more in terms of the performance, not only in 2020 and 2021, but also give you a fair outlook regarding what we feel are the growth opportunities going forward. So basically, when we are meeting with investors, and also these are the relevant questions that are being asked as to how AKR, despite the pandemic, has delivered a strong performance growth, like in 2019, 2020, and also 21, and what is the outlook for 2022. The Java Integrated Industrial and Port Estate is a very strategic project which has been implemented by AKR. And today, we would also like to give you our management's conviction in terms of the contribution from Chipe, not only from land sales, but also from the recurring incomes. AKR has embarked on a strategy, like Haryanto mentioned, about ESG, towards diversifying our energy portfolio to more towards cleaner energy. We'll also outline regarding the progress on that one, along with our retail, which is also a very interesting aspect. We will also talk about cash flows and the balance sheet strength of AKR and how we can consistently pay a dividend payout to the customers, to our shareholders. So basically, the discussion, I think most of you will be asking many questions about how AKR still could deliver a very strong performance of 30% growth in net profit in 2020 of 925 billion rupiah. Our audit of accounts for the financial year ended 31st December 2021 is currently underway. But based on performance till 9 months and also the volume and other indicators, we are quite confident of delivering an 18 to 20% growth this year. So if it were to be looking at a base of 925 billion, I'm talking here of more than 1.1 trillion rupiah, which will be higher than the consensus in the market. Our growth strategy still, is in place, and we are quite confident of delivering again the double-digit growth in the year 2022. All this driven by AKR's strong infrastructure and supply chain capabilities. Our projects like GPay have continued to increase in terms of contribution. We've also, during the last maybe decade, and even especially in the COVID times, also paid a lot of emphasis in improving adoption of technology, which is very much required today. So it's not only about hard infrastructure like tank storage, ports, and other facilities, but also how IT plays a very important part in order to ensure our deliveries and also cost efficiencies. The company sits on a very strong balance sheet of nearly 23 trillion. So we'll explain about how the company has managed to reduce its gearing using its strong cash flows during the past 5 years, and continues to maintain a very strong profile in terms of its business. As you can see in the pie chart below, you can see that AKR today is not only about trading and distribution of petroleum and chemical, but also now we have this growth engine of Java Integrated Industrial and Port Estate, which contributed 19% of the gross profit of AKR. 19%, so significant now. And also the other businesses like logistics and others contribute 5%. So basically, the company is on a consistent and sustainable growth. And even for the next 5 years, we see that the company has a strong potential to deliver according to stakeholder expectations and also diversify its earning towards more recurring incomes. So maybe I will ask Salman to explain on this particular slide regarding the movement in terms of our trading and distribution business, and then I'll come back to explain about other aspects of our business. Over to you, Salman.
Thank you, Pa Suresh, and thank you also, Pa Haryanto. So Pa Haryanto in the beginning gave you some flavor as to how our trading and distribution has performed in 2021. So giving more sort of details, as you can notice that the petroleum revenue in the fourth quarter is up more than about 20% in the fourth quarter on quarter basis. And of course, year on year basis, the growth is more than 100%. So what is driving the petroleum performance is, of course, the strong mining activity that is happening in Indonesia. And as Pa Haryanto mentioned that in 2021, we finished the year with a volume of more than 2.5 million kiloliters. Just to give you perspective that this number was about 2.1 million in 2019, pre-COVID. And then 2020 also we had delivered admirable growth and we had gone up to about 2.3 million. So this year has been another sort of a build up on growth in compared to 2020 in 2021. Second factor is, of course, in terms of the prices. So Pa Suresh will explain to you that, of course, higher oil prices also translate into higher revenue and how we manage our pricing and our margins in the petroleum business. The chemical business is the one where we can say that it has far exceeded our expectations, and maybe we can attribute that one reason why our overall net profit will be exceeding the consensus expectation. So again, if you look at the performance in the fourth quarter alone, it's almost 40% higher quarter on quarter basis. And of course, year on year basis, it's again 100% higher. So what has been driving chemical business is, of course, two factors. One is that in terms of our volumes, this year, our volume is almost up more than 20% year on year basis. And even if you compare it with the pre-COVID level, our volumes are up roughly around 15% compared to pre-COVID levels. And again, what is driving this is that, as you can see in the pie chart below, in terms of sectors, what happened in 2021 was that there was a recovery in the rayon sector, which is one of our major customers. And second is, of course, in terms of smelter, we have seen a big pickup in demand because as Indonesian government goes on this path of value addition and they are restricting more and more in terms of exports of the raw commodities, this is benefiting us because it is creating more demand. No, it is leading to more smelters. And then, of course, the more the smelter, there's the more demand for chemicals. So this is supporting our chemical business, and talking to our chemical team, they feel that this trend will continue over the next 3 to 4 years. And we expect to see the chemical demand continuing in the double digit as these new smelters come in. Second factor which supported our chemical business is, of course, the higher ASPs. What we saw in the middle or the first half of 2021, most of the chemical prices were very depressed. But we have seen a very, very sharp rebound in the global prices of all the commodities, especially chemicals like soda ash, chemicals and caustic soda. And if you look at the fourth quarter prices, they are considerably higher than the pre-COVID levels. So automatically higher ASP for us means a higher gross profit in value terms, because in this business, we operate on percentage margin basis. So higher the revenue, of course, higher the profitability. And talking and looking at the global trends, talking to our company, we expect that we don't expect this ASPs to collapse anytime soon. I think we expect again a year of higher sort of ASPs in 2022. So that should again support our revenue growth for the chemical business next year.
Yep. I think that's a very interesting explanation of our trading and distribution business. So the business which contributes nearly 76% of our gross profit over the past 3 years, like it has been doing in a decade, has continued to grow. And we expect even in 2022, what we have seen in January also, the performance of our chemical and petroleum business is still on track to deliver a 2.6 million or 2.62 million kiloliter target for this year. Similarly, we still expect to grow our chemical business in double digit. So basically, our supplies from our principals and also for the refineries have been ensured. As you know, in the past 6 months, many economies have faced a lot of difficulties in logistics. It's not about availability of material, it's all about logistics and supply chain. In this sort of a situation where there is a significant disruption in the logistics, AKR with its own logistics and infrastructure has delivered products to our customers, which resulted in higher volumes, also in increased profitability. So I think it has been a year of good performance in trading and distribution. We see that the company is on track in terms of controlling its operations very well. As a distributor of petroleum products and chemical, it's very essential for us to ensure deliveries are on time. We are also able to track and maintain our inventory levels. So this is why we have paid a lot of attention to upgrade our digital platform. So not only the enterprise resource planning system has been upgraded, so that our marketing and other staff can sit at home or anywhere and still enter orders. Our customers can track all their requirements. So this is another important part of AKR. It's not only about the hard infrastructure, it's also about IT. Okay, so maybe here I would like to explain about the price movement in terms of the petroleum and also the impact on AKR. I would like to clarify very clearly that though revenue is also a factor of not only volume but also average selling price, but AKR as a distributor, we do not take positions. But if you see the trend of oil prices or MOPS, which is a mean of plus Singapore, in the year 2020, it collapsed. Even the crude went up to minus territory. Yeah, but you can see that our gap between the MOPS in rupiah and average selling price compared to the MOPS, the differential here was widened by this particular one, as we could get more supplies into our thing at better terms. Similarly, we continue to maintain this gap between the selling price and the MOPS price. And you can see in the second half of the year, it is again expanded in the sense that today, the average selling price in the month of November, for example, is 9,664 rupiah, representing 94, I think, the selling price. And the MOPS at that period was 8,400. Maybe the gap has expanded to more than 1,200 rupiah plus. So I think as a distributor, AKR does not take positions. That's very clear. People keep asking us, is it that AKR will do better in a low oil price environment or a high oil price environment? It doesn't matter because AKR as a distributor passes through all the oil price movement, as you can see in this particular graphic. Second, we work very closely with our teams to ensure that the costs are kept under control, and also we can ensure with our technology to deliver these products on time and also efficiently. So this is a very important factor which have been demonstrated by AKR over the past 17 years. So the price of products follows a formula. Whatever we bill to our customer in the month of April will be based on the average prices the previous 2 fortnights, 2 weeks before that. So whatever price movement here, like you see here, it automatically passed through. And we are more, working on our margin. That's why the margin is also improving in the last 2 years. And also with a very stringent and also disciplined approach to currency management, we do not take the risk on currency also. So we have options and forward that we always take to the simple ones, no derivatives sort of a thing. So our business is full risk-proofed in the sense of supply with reliable suppliers, oil price pass-through, currencies completely covered. That's why AKR, if you see in the last 17 years, there's never been a year that we have had any losses to the petroleum business. So I think in terms of the business environment, as you see in 2021, it was a year of significant global supply chain disruption. Maybe this situation will improve over the next 3 to 4 months as the ships and also the movement of logistics becomes more efficient. But we still see the commodity demand continue to rise and commodity prices are still high. So basically, we still see the potential for a double-digit growth in trading and distribution business in the year 2022. And we are well prepared in terms of all our business model and facilities to keep the target going. So maybe today I will also along with Salman, explain to you about Java Integrated Industrial and Port Estate. Maybe Salman, you can take the next couple of slides to explain about our business model and also how we have proceeded. And then I'll come back and talk about the strategies regarding GPay and also other businesses. Over to you, Salman.
Yeah. Thank you, Suresh. So I believe that most of you are familiar with GPay or Java Integrated Industrial and Port Estate. So to give you just a background, that this project has been, the main idea of this project has always been that we want to build a ecosystem where we are able to target the high-end industries so that we have a sustainable income in terms of first initially through the land sales. And the second aspect is, of course, in terms of by selling them utilities and then cross-selling products like chemicals, energy products. So we can say that we have made considerable progress in this. The total area of this is 1760 hectare is the land industrial state, whereas the 406 hectare is the integrated port. And this is a unique project that in terms of, it's one of the largest public-private sector partnership in Indonesia. And secondly, it is the first integrated industrial and port state idea that came in. And then third is, of course, in terms of a location, it's ideally located on the northeast of Java Island. As you know, that Java Island is where most of the economic activity happens in Indonesia, but it's in terms of connectivity, this island needs a connectivity with other Indonesian islands, and being located in the northeast of Java is an ideal position for us to be connected with the remaining islands. And of course, in terms of the depth of the port, it is one of the deepest deep sea port in Indonesia with about a depth of 14 DWT. So that in that way, we can handle much bigger ships compared to other ports in and around our area or even on the western end of Java Island. So the industries that we have been targeting so far include the metal, electronic, chemical, energy, and of course supporting, which includes data centers. So as I mentioned, that this is high-tech industry and in line with Indonesian government vision of Industry 4.0. So with the total hectare, 1760 hectare, we probably have one of the highest land bank available at the moment in terms of any industrial state in Java or even on other islands. So in terms of progress, this project started about 7-8 years ago, and during this time we started off with a land area which was mostly fish pond, And in terms of economic activity, it was not very economic active area. So it allowed us to acquire all the required land at a reasonable price. So that process started in 2013. And since then, through various phases, today we are sitting in 2022, where we can claim that we have the physical infrastructure available, either in terms of land or in terms of utilities. Some in terms of, like, if I was to use the word like a software, we also have a latest software in terms of getting a special economic zone status, so that any investor that comes into our industrial state, it's fully functional in terms of you can buy the land, you can get all the utilities, plus you can avail all the benefits that are available in the special economic zone. So this places us in a very unique position compared to other industrial states, which may have one of these three facilities. Either they may have a land bank, or they may have a port, or they may have a special economic zone. Again, very few of them, but all three combined, there are very, very few that, or probably none other that can offer all these three facilities under one roof. So in terms of the size, just to give you the idea that currently we have already acquired 1,300 hectares of land. And you can see on our books, on the AKR balance sheet, the value of this 1,300 hectares is at a very nominal price of about 6 trillion rupiah. So we have acquired this land at a very low cost. Currently, about 1,000 hectares of land is already available for sale. So as such, we have put in all the cash flows for this land, and we are ready to sort of monetize this. So far, we have been able to attract 16 industrial projects that are already there, and some of them have already started their operations. And of course, the big news last year was that finally we had a long-term lease agreement with Freeport. Though they started that project in GPay as far back as May 2019, but in 2021, we had the groundbreaking ceremony of a Freeport smelter, as well as we had the 80-year lease agreement. So these are the 17 customers that are already operating in GPay. So it's not like it's a greenfield or a new project, like you might be reading in the news about this thing about green industrial state or those sort of things. Yes, they are a good headline, but at the moment, if you compare it with GPay, we are a green industrial state. We already are functional, and we already have tenants. So we believe that we have a big head start compared to other industrial states that may be offering some of very attractive features. Secondly, so in terms of tax advantages, this was granted to us in middle of last year. And very important was that within 5 months of period of getting the special economic zone, our office of the tax administrator is already functioning. So again, it's a very important part for a gestation of a project, that when a tenant comes in or a potential investor comes in, once we have signed the deal, they can start construction very quickly because all the benefits are already available. They don't have to wait to buy the land and then wait that, okay, now I have to apply again to get all the benefits under the special economic zone. So just to list you some of the benefits, what are the benefits? First is, of course, ease of doing business. So again, in Indonesia, this is generally a big sort of, you can say, a headache or a roadblock whenever a new project is coming in, that the ease of doing business is not very easy. But this is what AKR under the special economic zone is already providing. Especially, we already have the environment license, which can often take a long period. So these are the facilities in terms of ease of doing business. Second is in terms of fiscal incentives. Again, I think this is more, you can say, monetizable. So we have a tax holiday of 18 to 20 years on a relatively small level of investment. That again is very critical. And then they get tax allowance and exemption in VAT and other duties. So not only they get the lower tax expense, but also in terms of working capital that can be tied up in these sort of taxes, that also goes down for our investors, which can lead to a lot of saving for them in terms of their financial charges. And third is, of course, non-fiscal incentives. Again, for a lot of people, these are the hidden costs that when they are doing business in Indonesia, like in terms of right of use of land, we give it for 80 years. So this is a big increase compared to 20 years, which is normally available. So anybody thinking of committing their investment for a long period of time, I think this is a big comfort factor that they will be there for 80 years. Ease in immigration license. I think if they need more foreign workers, more foreign expertise, this is available under the special economic zone, and that I think is a big factor.
Yeah, I think you can see that there's significant progress in GPay in the year 2020 and 2021 also. Notable, like highlighted, one, We have the Freeport smelter project already groundbreaking and slated to be completed before 2024. Starting 2024, the project already is operational. We already have the approvals for the KAIKA administrator, everything is in place. Now it's time for us to really push towards getting more customers over and above the 16 industrial projects which have already set up shop in GPay. So basically, this is a summary of what is just discussed about the land status. In the industrial estate, like was mentioned, 1,300 hectares has already been acquired, 1,300 hectares already acquired. It's on our balance sheet, of which nearly 640 hectares of stage 1 was developed already, of which 300 already allocated. We have a ready for sale, 340 hectares in stage 1. We further have another close to 400 plus hectares, which can be saleable, for which can be developed and things. So you can see there's a ready land bank available. It's already sitting in our books. And as you can see, steadily we have been increasing our income from GPay. I mentioned GPay contributes 18 to 19% of the gross profit of AKR in September. So the income derived from this is from the land sales, which went up from 166 billion in 2019 to 366 billion in 2021. With the signing of the long-term lease agreement with Freeport, which is for a period of 80 years, we will be booking continuously a steady stream of lease income. This is based on $7.7 million. And this is also subject to increase. So they already paid us for 5 years, and they will continue to pay in advance for 5 years going forward. Good cash flow from this too. Another aspect, like I said, is all about only land sales and lease income. It's also about power plants, utilities, land thing, which will be a big factor when we choose the type of clients. So today, that also will be a growing factor. So you can see in 2021, we estimate our revenue from GPay to have doubled since 2019. And 2022, we expect this number to be as high as 1.1 to 1.2 trillion, based on an assumption of about 40 hectares of land sale, a continuing stream of lease income from Freeport, and also utilities. So you can see a big jump in terms of our revenue and contribution, because this particular project contributes 50% gross margin, 50. So in addition to that, who are the industries who are already talking to us? We have in our in our discussion currently, pre-marketing, more than 150 to 180 hectares of land. 150 to 180 hectares of land, and the active consideration, good interest shown by many industries, primarily not only in the chemical space. Okay, we have also got FMCG space. We also have got clients from CPO, feed meal, also from ferrometals, and also from the health sectors. So we have to, like I said, and chemicals basically the big thing. So we have an active consideration, more than 150 to 180 hectares of land, which we have put a very conservative 40 hectares. Let's see, we'll keep you updated regarding progress in all these areas. So why the tenants are really drawn towards GPay has been explained. One, not many industrial estates can offer ready land with clean titles. Two, the land and infrastructure is already developed, not that they are going to acquire it and then develop. Three, they have access to deep sea port. Four, fiscal and tax benefits. These are all the things why a big company like Freeport also set up shop in GPay. So basically, this to talk about the Freeport smelter project. In addition to the land bank of 100 hectares already we have handed over from 2019, and we are booking consistently the land income, they may need additional land for the laydown of the equipment. Already the land preparation, piling, everything is underway. So we have signed 80 years agreement for this. In this particular jetty, which is exclusively going to be there for Freeport, this will also covered under a 40-year agreement with Freeport. So they bring in 6 million tons of cargo in and out from this thing, so that we get income from port over and above the lease income. Plus they want power, they want water, they need data services. All these are the income that we will generate from Freeport. In our opinion, this is going to be a significant contribution. Similarly, once we have this sort of a smelter which can produce 600,000 metric tons of copper, there will be a lot of industries surrounding, connected with copper, which we are also talking to, plus sulfuric acid. So the Freeport President Director, Patoni Venas, talked about how the downstream industry will get a big fillip from the Freeport project. We are quite confident that this project will also get in a lot of other industries related to that, That's why a copper ecosystem is what we're looking at. So in addition to that, basically you see that the increasing contribution of GPay is very much seen in our financial statement. We are sitting on a land bank. Like I said, this, you monetize it, it's got to contribute more than $1.6 to $1.8 billion in revenue. And we don't have much debt on the books, only about 300-400 billion of debt. So the steady increase in contribution of GPay towards the profit of AKR is very much going to be a factor going forward, which will also drive the overall AKR profits. So basically, in addition to that, I'll shortly talk about the retail and future energy process. So we already have 130 outlets of AKR for supplying the AKR subsidized diesel and around 92. So these stations have been operating in Kalimantan, Sumatra, Java, if you go on Jalan Pantura. And basically, they're not only supplying to trucks and people who are entitled to subsidy, but also to fishermen and others. So for allocation for 2022 also we have received. In addition to that, from 2018-19, we already rolling out, as many of you might have seen on the roads of Jakarta. Now you have these green petrol stations, BP, the logo BP on it. I think you must have seen it in Antasari, you must have seen it in Simpruk, in Suntar. Now we're also opening many more outlets across Jakarta, Surabaya, and even in Jalantol. So these stations not only offer high quality fuels with active technology, but also the business model of petrol stations undergoing a big transformation with advanced mobility solutions. People will have charging points. We will have swap batteries and others. In the meanwhile, we also have working with local partners like Tuku, Alphamart, Crispy Chicken, and others to also sell non-fuel. So this is also a good generator of traffic to the petrol station. And we also work closely with Castrol, which is also a BP brand for lubricants, not only for automotive, but also for fisheries and ships and also the industry. So overall, we have now got 26 outlets. We will open another 20 to 25 outlets before December. And as you know, Indonesia still needs a lot of petrol stations. So overall, you see that the strategy of AKR towards, moving towards a new type of fuels is almost underway. And in addition to that, our ESG, Haryanto mentioned in his opening remarks, AKR as a company is committed to, the carbon emission reductions and also cleaner fuels. We also value our business practices in terms of integrity and ethical behavior. In all our thing, we give equal opportunity for both men and women. And even on the board of AKR, more than 45% of our representation is by lady directors. So this is also qualifying for that. In addition to that, even during tough times in COVID, we've taken care of our employees, and we'll also invest further in terms of health and safety. So I just wanted to inform you, as part of our emphasis and growth, we also have on board Pa Elias, who's joined us as the head of natural gas and renewable energy, a new division created. And yesterday we sent out a news release on adding rooftop solar panels, which will also become another renewable source of energy. So basically AKR, like Haryanto mentioned, we have already been inducted to various indices. We are now in ESG LQ45 index. This is an index which not only considers the performance of the company, but also looks at the green practices of the company. We have got ratings from Sustainalytics. ISS has improved our rating by 1 notch, and MSCI is soon going to release AKR coverage on ESG. So we're committed to all these things. And basically, in terms of GPay, we have got so many opportunities to roll out green projects. And we have got certification for ISO 14001, ISO 45000, and also for our petroleum operation 9001. These are critical for people to really look at investing in things. So I stop here in terms of the business. We'll talk about the balance sheet. Henry will take questions about the business, and then we'll address the issue of our balance sheet and cash flows. Over to you, Henry.
Okay, thank you, Pak Haryanto, Pak Suresh, and Pak Salman for the very comprehensive presentation. So now, I will open the Q&A session. For those who want to ask questions, just you feel free to press the raise hand button on your Zoom apps or type your question in the chat box. Pak, while we're waiting, perhaps 1 or 2 questions from my end, Pak. the first one will be on the GPay, Pak. I mean, we highlight that you have built so many competitive advantage in your GPay, but it seems like, and also now you also have received so many like land inquiries right now, right? I mean, Pak Suresh mentioned about 150 to 180 hectare. So just curious, Pak, what will be the main hurdle to translate this kind of land inquiry into the land sales? Because if you look at the land sales last year, I think there are some, some lagging from the first quarter sales into the fourth quarter. So just curious on what will be the main hurdle from the customers here to, convert all these land inquiries to land sales.
Okay, so maybe I can address this. Of course, when we got our special economic status, special economic zone status in GPay, we have many inquiries. But as you know, that most of our tenants that we want to come in are tenants will use a lot of our utilities and port services. I mean, consider like Freeport, it takes us so long to negotiate and finally, to finalize all the port services, where we build exclusive jetty for them, and then the water, the electricity, and so on. So that's the reason why it takes time. Like in the second half last year, we have already a few quite a big customers that we could not finish the discussion that will spill out to this year. So for example, like the glass factory, and then also the chemical factory from one of our principal, and then also the palm oil company who also now wants to have an exclusive jetty so they can pump their palm oil from the ship directly to their factory. And then of course the FMCG company who also are looking what are the product that in GPay they can get the tax holiday, the 10 years to 20 years. Because for FMCG, not all product can get the tax holiday. So these are, again, we have to liaise with the special economic zone administrator, which was already set up. What are the products of FMCG that can enjoy this tax holiday? And then, of course, also other company that we are discussing. So you see, it takes longer for us to bring in and to sign the dotted line with the tenant because of other things that we need to agree upon before we sign the dotted line, not only on the land sales, but also on the recurring income. So I think that is something that maybe for us, it took longer than what we anticipate in order to finalize all these utilities and services that we will provide to the tenant.
Okay, noted, Pak. I think that's very clear. Just curious, Pak. So basically, what time? I mean, when, for example, like for these palm oil companies, when they want to have some exclusive jetty, so basically, what time does AKRA need, to build to build this exclusive jetty in order to, secure all these land sales, Pak?
So you know that one of the strong advantage of GPay is we have 4.6 kilometers of coastline. So according to our master plan, we can build up to 6,200 meters, 6.2 kilometers length of jetty, which means, for a special customer, we can build a special and dedicated jetty for their use. For example, Freeport, we have built 315 meters of jetty. This CPO company, probably about 200 meters of jetty. So this way, they would be very big saving for the logistic. So from the ship, they can pump to the factory, and then if they want to send to other islands or export, they just pump from the factory to the ship. So this way, they will save a lot of logistic costs. And secondly, also, the product can also enjoy a tax holiday if they are in the GPay. So that's the reason why they're also looking at the GPay.
Okay.
It's a multinational FMCG products also. Some of the products can enjoy a tax holiday. Some of the product could not enjoy. So that takes time.
Okay, sure, Pak. Noted. That's very clear. Perhaps my second question on the 2022 guidance. I know that Pak Suresh and Pak Haryanto as well as Pak Salman has have explained quite comprehensive. But would you mind to elaborate more, Pak? I mean, in terms with all these 15 to 20% earnings growth target for this 2020, would you mind to elaborate more on, what will be the main revenue and earnings growth driver? Is it on the petroleum or the chemical, and or perhaps on the GPay, and perhaps what will be the main driver of this petroleum or distribution business for this year, Pak? Which sector, will be the driver?
Yeah. So for chemicals, as you know, that the industrial downstream industrialization of the downstream mineral in Indonesia is very successful. So for example, bauxite into alumina. Harita Group, they have doubling the capacity of the alumina project in West Kalimantan from 1 million to 2 million ton. And then coming, the Bintan aluminium that was created by the president last year in December, 1 million ton. And then another one, the Borneo alumina will be coming either early next year or end of this year. That's another 1 million ton. And then ICA, which is a joint venture with Antam, also expanding in West Kalimantan. So all this alumina industry, they need a lot of caustic soda. That's the reason why our principal now are looking at GPay in order to expand their capacity by building a second plant. Because since late last year or early this year, already there is a shortfall, which means that some import will have to come in. That's the reason why they are thinking of expanding their capacity. And then also secondly, if you look at the nickel, all the nickel smelter, we use a lot of sulfuric acid. And so again, sulfuric acid is one of our products. And we hope also when the, these people are making this electric battery, they also need a lot of chemicals. So that's why last year, as of last year, our chemical volume already higher than the pre-pandemic 2019. We believe that this year, 2020, our chemical products will grow further. Secondly, the petroleum. As you know, that the demand of these minerals continue to go up, whether it's aluminum, whether it's nickel, whether it's copper, whether it's gold, so all this needs a lot of petroleum, to move all their heavy equipment and their transportation. So in other words, the price of these minerals can go up or go down, but for us, the most important is the demand. As long as the demand of this mineral still very strong, they have to produce, they have to increase their production. When they increase the output of this mineral, they will need more petroleum. So it is very important to understand the demand of petroleum in this mineral industry are not determined by the price of it, the mineral itself, but determined by the how many ton of production and whether they continue to increase the production or not. Because more output means more petroleum is needed. And that's the reason why we are confident with this renewable energy industry in the high growth, that all this mineral plus CPO, the plantation also needs a lot of petroleum to move their equipment. And again, with the demand of palm oil increasing due to the higher disposable income, as well as the higher biodiesel that need to be produced for the diesel industry, this will continue to grow. And then for thirdly, regarding the GPay, as you know, the GPay is one of the most competitive industrial park now because of our deep sea port, as well as our competitive utilities that we can provide. And that's the reason why we believe that this year, 6 months after the special economic zone and after the Special Economic Zone Administrator was appointed as of in the December. Hopefully this year we will speed up the signing, because now with the administrator in place, anything we can get their advice and we can get their support. And that's why we believe that even our land sales this year will contribute more than last year. And we believe that in 2 to 3 years time, when this big factory start in production, and not only the land sales, but it will be complemented also with the recurring income from the utilities and the port services. So that's why we believe this year we are still confident to grow at least another 15–20%. Hopefully more. If we can sell more land, if we can achieve the 40 hectare target, definitely our growth will be more than 20%.
Okay, sure. Thanks, Pak. I think that's very clear. Once again, thank you, Pak. So I just want to reconfirm to Pak Suresh and also Pak Salman. So you mentioned that the petroleum or the full distribution volume can be up to like 2.6 million kiloliter for this year. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, sure. That's perfect. Thanks. Perhaps on my two last questions, perhaps on the utility sides of the GP. I mean, you mentioned that you have built so many, infrastructures, right? So just curious on the potential revenue contribution from this GP in the next 3 to 5 years. So what will be the revenue contribution, perhaps on the gas, on the electricity, and what wastewater treatment and others? And then the second part, would you mind to share us some color on the perhaps dividend policy or dividend guidance for this year? Thanks, Pak.
Okay, let me take the question on the utilities, Henry. As you see on the screen, GPay already has a license to produce 515 megawatts of power, 515, yeah. So basically, in addition to that, we are also collaborating with PLN to get supplies, especially for key customers like Report. So we already have installed a gas-fired power plant, no coal, it's all gas-fired. So for that, we also adding more capacity as the demand goes up. Our estimate on the total power requirement in GPay can be as high as 1.3 gigawatts. So basically, not only we'll build our power plants in GPay, not only from gas, but also from renewable. Like we have started installing the solar rooftop panels. Similarly, the second thing is fresh water. We already have fresh water supplies from the dam nearby. And also, we will also be reprocessing the water in GPay for resupply to the customers so that we don't have runoff from the industrial estate to the sea. Third is natural gas. We already have the gas supplies from PGN, already connected to PGN network. Last year, we already signed another joint venture with BBG for Bayu Buwana Gamalang for setting up a joint venture for supply of compressed natural gas. And like I mentioned, Elias coming on board, he's also a veteran in the field of LNG in Indonesia. So he will also lead our effort towards developing and exploring LNG terminals in GPay, because with the port and others. So that's another big opportunity for our utilities. Wastewater treatment, telecommunications, deep sea port, all these add towards the utilities, and why we see that the recurring income will be very strong. That's why if you're looking at heavy industry or by medium industry, it's critical to provide them every utility right at their doorstep. So this is something that we already done, and now we're progressing with all the licenses in place. We should be able to deliver all these commitments to our customers. Like Haryanto said, it's not only about just negotiating on the land, it's also about their requirements. Because this is what adds up to the recurring income going forward. Yeah. Maybe the second part of the question, Haryanto, would you like to take it? Maybe Henry, can you repeat the question, please? Sorry.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, okay. It's more about the dividend policy or dividend proposal for this year.
I think if you see the last 5 years, we have given average 50%, more than 50% of our profit as a dividend. And we will also, the 2021, we will also more or less keep the policy as 50% or more of our profit will be given out as dividend. I think for the foreseeable future, we think also and we believe that we can still maintain the 50% or more percent as a dividend, because if you see our strong cash flow and we don't need a major capex, because most of the GP capex will be financed from the selling the land, and most of our routine capex has been financed by our strong cash flow. As you can see that in the last 5 years, we have invested almost 10 trillion, more than 10 trillion rupiah, and yet our debt to equity ratio lowered from 0.33 to 0.2 times. So you can see the strong cash flow that we provide, including our financing, our capex, as well as our dividend policy.
Okay, sure. Thanks, Pak. I think that's very clear, Pak. Yeah, Pak, I think we have reached the end of our session here. But before we conclude the call, Pak, let me check if you have any closing remark.
Yes, I think going forward in the next 5 years, we believe with the GP and then also with the downstream industry for minerals, the growth of the plantation, and also the demand, the growth in demand of all the minerals that will be used for the renewable energy, and also the investment that we have in GP that we will be able to monetize in the next few years. We believe in the next 5 years, we can still grow on a double-digit basis because the tailwind are with us in the next many years. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Pak. That's very promising. Thank you once again, Pak Haryanto, Pak Suresh, and Pak Salman. So yeah, without this, I'll conclude the call. Thank you, Pak.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Bye.
Good day. Have a good weekend. Bye-bye.